Hey guys, welcome to Movie.Cast. This is a show where we talk all about films. I'm Mike, that's Costa, this is Amber. How you guys doing today?
Good.
All right.
All right. Now, Hugh Jackman's swan song as Wolverine, the film Logan just debuted, and we gotta talk about it because I, for one, think it's a great movie. So let's do our review. And normally on our show, we like to start off spoiler-free. And we're just going to do a roundtable discussion so we can all just sort of converse at any time. So let's start it off. This was obviously, like we said, this is Hugh Jackman's last performance as Wolverine. He's been playing the character for 17 years. The first X-Men movie came out in 2000. So it's been almost 2 decades of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and now it's finally coming to an end. He's pretty much confirmed this, from every angle.
Yep.
So, what do we guys think? Was this a good tribute? Let's start again, starting off spoiler free. Was this a good tribute to Hugh Jackman as his career as Wolverine?
Oh, yeah.
It was
Yeah.
probably the best performance of all of his things. If that makes sense.
One of his best performances as Wolverine.
I would say it is his best performance as
Okay.
Wolverine.
All right, fair enough.
Because it's actually the Wolverine
Right.
that I've been waiting for. Because, as you know, I'm an X-Men fan of the old cartoon show,
Right, but not the
and of
movies.
but not the movies. And my whole problem with the Wolverine character was that he was a washed down, kid friendly Wolverine. He always has been. Let's be honest. There was no blood. The first 5 minutes of this movie, there was blood and guts and severed limbs, and I was like, yes.
Finally.
I went through every single emotion. I was happy, I was sad, and then at the very end, I was pissed off because I was like, do you mean to tell me it took you 18 years to actually get the character right, and now this is the last movie?
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, what the hell, man?
So you really did go through the roller coaster.
I went
then.
through every single emotion, and at the end, I was like, oh, and then I was like, wait a second. I've been watching 18 years, and it took you this, and I don't blame Hugh Jackman, because I saw an interview with him, and I didn't realize that, he's not getting story credit, but he supposedly had a dream about this story.
Really?
And he went to James Mangold, who I believe
Right,
is the
the
director
director,
from the last
yeah.
one, and told him his dream of how he wanted the story to go, and
Hmm.
then that's what they pitched to Fox.
That's cool.
And I think it was because since Deadpool,
I mean, you give an actor of that pedigree,
Yeah.
and how long he's been playing the character.
Yeah.
Executives better listen to him.
well, yeah, I mean, I think if it was around his second performance as
Right.
Wolverine, he would have gotten it, and probably
Oh, of course.
even from the first Wolverine movie, clearly not.
Right.
But it's sad that it took 18
Yeah.
years and
Sure.
Hugh Jackman to actually get, and I think also he stated this is what the fans have wanted to see. So I think he knew too. This
Yeah.
was not, he knows what Wolverine is from playing it.
And that's the thing. Hugh Jackman has played good soldier this entire time,
Oh, yeah.
basically.
He's a company man,
Right, exactly.
right?
He is, absolutely. Which is both a good, it's not a bad thing.
No.
I mean, he played this
But he gets
character
all the- but he gets all the
dutifully for
shit.
17 years. But
Yeah.
yes, exactly. Yeah, when the movie goes bad, like X-Men Origins Wolverine, it's kind of like being a quarterback in the NFL. When your team is good, you get all the glory. When it's bad, when your team's bad, you get all the blame. And that's not necessarily the exact same case, but it does end up reflecting on him as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice to see that. I mean, I'm going to throw, I kind of already threw my hat into the ring here, but I also believe that it was a very fitting tribute. That's what I wrote on my Facebook page after I saw the movie. Like I said, this was a very beautiful, fitting, thrilling movie. It was gorgeous. It was so well shot.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it was a
James
gorgeous
James
movie.
Mangold is actually
Yeah.
a really good director.
And you can tell. The gap between Logan and X-Men Origins Wolverine in terms of quality is ridiculous.
Well, that's-
Logan
yeah.
is up here, whereas Wolverine is all the way down here.
I would
Origins
I
Wol-
would
Origins
say
Wolverine.
even with the X-Men movies itself, I think like James Mangold is a more competent director than Bryan Singer. Now they're two different types of directors,
Sure,
but
yeah.
I think from just watching Wolverine alone, even though it's whatever, that it's definitely it's on a different level. But yeah, it's just stylized just differently, but more
Sure.
interesting
Yeah.
in a way too.
Costa, I'm going to start this question with you. Do you recommend this to anybody, to everybody, anybody, to our
Is there
our
no
audience?
person allowed that should see this?
I mean, if you haven't seen it yet, shame on you. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, just even watching the trailers before the movie even came out, it's very rare that you watch a trailer for something. Yeah, you can watch a trailer and get hyped up about a movie, but it's so rare you watch a trailer and you're like, okay, like this is going to be something special.
Especially after two not so
Right.
special films.
I mean-
in this same,
it got better.
Sure, right, but
Wolverine
nobody's
was-
putting Wolverine as like the top like X-Men film,
No.
basically.
I mean, just
And this is up there.
I mean, everything. Again, just talking about the trailers, and then what we end up seeing in the full movie. I mean, just the song choices and the tone. I mean, it spoke true
Yeah.
to what we ended up seeing in this whole 2.5 hour
Yeah.
film. I mean, God, you go on this like really intense emotional journey.
Absolutely.
With Hugh Jackman as Wolverine and also I'm also going to say this is Patrick Stewart's best time playing Professor X.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think this is the best I've seen because really when you're talking about such an emotional story,
Oh yeah, and there was a lot.
Yeah.
and also seeing where they took the character
Right.
for Professor Xavier and the stuff he's going through.
Right.
Just all the, like they both were just so good.
Yeah, they were into it. Yeah.
And again, and Sir Patrick Stewart, he's played 17 years.
And he'll
That's true.
probably keep on
As
going.
well.
He'll probably hit 20 if he does any of the new ones too.
I have a funny feeling that
I've heard that he might not, and
Right.
we can
I
get a
mean-
little bit more into that
Yeah.
once we're in the spoiler section.
I mean, I think that this Logan, I think even for all of X-Men, I think that, even though it's only has two of the main characters from
Yeah.
the franchise in it, I feel like this was a nice way to sort of wrap it up and just move forward with whatever they have planned with like Deadpool and all this other
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, you could not have. When you're a fan of something, you always think, oh, I could have come up with a better ending to that.
Right.
Like, I don't think anybody can
Yeah.
sit down and come
No.
up with a better way to have ended the arcs for Logan and Xavier.
And the best decision they made was to keep the scope of the story relatively small in comparison to some of the X-Men films,
Yeah.
which I mean,
Which you don't half the time. Sometimes you can't follow.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Now, granted, you're in the minority here, right in this
Yeah.
presence right
Yeah.
here, because we enjoyed the X-Men, most of the X-Men films, not all of them, obviously.
Most.
But they do tend to have like these big overarching, plots, and this was a very simple story, which I kind of noted when we first saw that first trailer.
Yeah.
It looked like a lot of the scenes they were showing were all from like the same sequence.
Yeah.
In that first trailer,
Yeah,
so
they
you
didn't give
kind
a
of
lot
got that
away.
idea.
No, they didn't.
Yeah,
Right,
They kept
exactly.
it the same, which kind of like what Deadpool did too. You saw
Right.
kind of the exact same stuff, and
Yeah.
they kept it under wraps.
Yeah.
It was-
Except I will say there is one moment that we'll talk about in the spoilers that I knew it was coming the moment I saw that first trailer, which maybe some people already might know what that is that I'm talking about. We'll talk about it a little bit more in a minute. But I will go back to what you said about like everything we saw in the trailer. That first trailer, like using Johnny Cash's Hurt and combining all that like that set the tone right then
Yeah.
and there. And you could just tell that this was going to be radically different. And it was. And I believe this is the first really great superhero movie this year. And I mean, I know we have a bunch of others coming out down the pipeline, but this one's going to be tough to top. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
I couldn't help but laugh though, because again, I'm never gonna miss out on an opportunity to sort of poke fun at DC, but now we've had two straight years of with R-rated comic book films. One was a just straight up comedy.
Sure.
That everyone loved.
Yep.
And now we've got the very serious and emotional R-rated comic book movie that a lot of people love. And now DC isn't going to know what the fuck to do. Like, what do people want? Do you want dark? Do you want serious and emotional? Or do you want funny? And,
Oh, boy.
now they're not going to know what to do with themselves.
Yeah, no, I agree, because DC has proven to be very knee-jerk and reactionary.
Yep.
So
They keep on like kind of copying off people, like, but
well,
then not.
their whole universe is kind of a copy of the Avengers, but they're trying to make it their
backwards.
own. Right, exactly.
And they're like, if you're gonna copy their formula, go
Right.
with the formula. Don't try and like half-ass
Right.
it, but then make it your own.
Yep.
It's just like copy it by showing one film at a time.
I think we've
and
used this
then-
analogy before, where it feels like Marvel and DC, they're like two runners at the beginning of a race, and Marvel just shot off out of the gate, and DC's trying to catch up, but they're making mistakes,
What are
and
the- They
it's
didn't tie their
costing
shoes.
them.
What are the
Right.
odds?
Yeah.
What are the odds that they now make the standalone Batman film rated R because of Logan?
I almost feel like they have to to even let it compete.
I could.
I don't want to
see
take us
that.
off topic,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying.
But you know what? The
know.
Dark Knight trilogy were all PG-13, so they can still get away with being dark. But I mean, it's like, Batman's not supposed to kill anybody, and their
Right.
No,
Batman
but it can
like
be pretty
kills
brutal,
everybody.
though.
It can be
Yeah.
brutal, but you can get away with it being PG-13.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I'm just
it
saying.
can't be fun, lighthearted.
DC isn't going to know what to do with themselves,
Right.
and again, it's just all knee-jerk reactions on their part. They're like they're seeing what audiences are favoring or what audiences are enjoying, and they went from seeing an audience that enjoyed the comedy of Deadpool and just all the potty humor, but then like now that's probably a large group, that same group of fans ran to the theaters to go see Logan and enjoyed it just as much.
Aquaman rated R.
R.
Coming
They're
to a
just-
theater
they
near
are.
you.
They're like-
this time it's personal.
They're like that one kid in school where it's like they're trying to fit in, so
Yeah.
they like start like
they try to imitate like the cool
they're trying
people,
to
like the cool
imitate
kids.
the cool people when they finally get like whatever the cool stuff
Hey guys,
is.
look,
The
I have my
changes.
own
Everybody
R-rated superhero
changed, and they're
movie.
like, "What are you doing?" Or they're just like so fake that you're just like, "Stop, just
Yeah.
stop! You're embarrassing
Yeah,
yourself.
it's
This is not
crazy.
you." And
Anyway.
that's
So
what it is.
I think I can speak for all of us when we say we all recommend Logan.
Absolutely.
It was a
Yeah.
good movie. I don't think any of us are disappointed
Oh,
with
no.
it. And so let's transition into our spoiler review.
Go fuck yourself.
And that's the sound. So at this point, listen, watch at your own risk if you haven't seen it. So let's dive in a little bit deeper. What about this movie really stuck out to you guys in your opinions? Like any particular
blood
scenes? Yes,
and
the blood.
I was like I said before, it like right off the bat, the movie just shoots off, like goes
Yeah.
right in, guns right into like they chop somebody's guy's like
Yeah.
hand off or arm off, like
He gets a shotgun blast to his chest.
But there's blood, guys.
Yeah.
That's what I was. I was like, oh my gosh, he's covered in blood. This is the best thing ever. I was like, this
Set
is
a tone.
Wolverine.
Well, after-
he goes berserk.
Yeah.
He's never really. He just like in the X-Men movies,
Yeah.
he like just like screams and looks like he's just like having a bad day. But this look like he goes like, and not just Wolverine, but his like clone guy, which I will say like that was where I started getting pissed off because I was like, this is great. This is because it's showing like what the young Wolverine
Right.
should have been like in the X-Men movies.
Yeah.
Just going all berserk, and I was like, yes, but then I was like, son of a bitch, they should have had this character in the movies. Because it would have been so much better. This is what I've been waiting for, and you're giving it to me. That's like I said, all the emotions. That's where I got berserk
really funny.
angry inside. Berserk angry inside. But I thought it was fantastic.
Oh, jeez. Costa, how about you?
I mean, it's just. I mean, probably the one thing that really stuck with me, and it boils down to the relationships.
Yeah.
In this movie, it's really all about Logan, Xavier, and Laura.
Right.
You know,
X-23.
otherwise known as X-23.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's just from the get-go, it's just such a heartbreak. Like you see, Wolverine is driving a limousine
Yeah.
for work to make money,
Yeah.
so he can get medication
For
so that
Do a
Xavier
drug deal.
so that Xavier doesn't have seizures.
right.
Yep.
I mean, and
seizures,
That could
which
hurt
apparently
people.
killed
all
a
the
bunch of
X-Men.
X-Men.
Killed all the X-Men.
Which that part, and I don't mean to cut off, but when I heard that, I turned to Julia and I was like, "Oh my God,
I
he's
kind of wanted.
responsible for
I
their
kind of wish
deaths."
they had a flashback with that, but I was like, okay.
I think it's okay.
I kind of like that.
It's better
like
without
it was
it.
like
Yeah.
we don't
Yeah.
really know what happened. It was kind of
Right.
mysterious, but we're thinking that's probably what happened.
Yeah, because that's what they said before the radio cut off, including
Yeah.
the death of 7 X-Men.
Yeah.
You know, like so. But go ahead.
you know,
finish your
but I
thought,
mean,
Costin.
just that really, just watching it throughout the whole movie. Obviously, the two of them have stuck together for years.
Right.
I mean, because like the movie takes place in what 2029 or something like
Yeah, I
that.
think
Yeah,
that's
a
what
little.
they said.
Yeah,
You know,
somewhere
in
near
the
future-ish.
future.
Yeah.
So obviously they've been together for a long time. I mean, their relationship has definitely evolved from one where it was like teacher and pupil to more of a father and son.
Oh yeah.
Disappointed father.
Yeah.
You know,
Disappointed
just
father, son.
Yeah.
just again, I don't know. It'll be tough for a comic book movie just to be so raw.
Right, and
You know?
right, and that's one of the things that stuck out was, for example, Xavier's little monologue right before his death.
Yeah.
Like that was that's one of the best moments in X-Men and superhero stories. Just that little scene right there was just amazing. You know, it speaks everything. It's volumes about Patrick Stewart as an actor that he can convey this. And like, you know, I mean, I read the story today where as it got towards the end, you know, he was watching it with Hugh Jackman, and they both were tearing up.
Yeah.
You know, like they were tearing up,
Yeah.
and they acted in it.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's how powerful this movie is. It's crazy that all it takes is somebody that just has the vision. I mean, obviously you need the success of the X-Men franchise to set up a movie like this, but once, like, it feels like we've worked a long way to get to this point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's like we're finally getting the movie we deserve. Like you said, we're
Yeah.
getting the movie that
We're getting
that X-Men fans
the
deserve.
closest characterization of Wolverine, and
Right.
probably even. And I mean, Professor X is pretty simple. I think they've gotten him pretty good over the years.
I think
even
Patrick Stewart's been great.
Even with McAvoy,
you know.
and I'd say even Magneto too. I think
Yeah.
they've been pretty solid with
Yeah.
even if with some of the casting or whatever. But I think still their characters are pretty solid because you can't really mess them up.
No, and
yeah.
and they've explored that. That's
Yeah.
why this movie is so impactful, and
Yeah.
that's why it's great that Xavier was in it, because it just adds another level to it. Because you know that, I mean, it's Professor X.
Yeah.
I mean, when the first X-Men movie came out, I was 10 years old. Like when X2 came out, it's like those are almost the equivalent of like a childhood movie now.
Yeah.
And to see, these members of your childhood superhero movies.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like a Harry Potter sensation where you've kind of grown
Grow
up with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now to see it culminate like this, it's like, oh crap,
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
adults now, and now we're watching our favorite characters die.
Yeah.
Like it's really sad,
Yeah.
and it's really impactful. So
And let's not overlook. I mean, we've only mentioned her once, but the child actress that played Laura.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I mean, and even
Unbelievable.
for the first 75% of the movie, she didn't say a word.
Which was great, a great
She-
reveal
she-
later.
she
but
didn't
yeah.
say a
Close to her
word.
character too in the comics. She doesn't
Is
really
that-
talk. Yeah. I don't
Okay.
Yeah, you know, so I mean, she did a fantastic job, and
Yes.
and obviously, to people that are more familiar with the X-Men universe, know that her character does just play a sizable role, like in the
Right.
comic book universe. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with her moving forward. Her involvement with like the X-Force movie and whatever. I mean, I don't even know if they end up deciding to maybe cast an older actress.
Yeah, I don't know how
like,
that's
to
gonna
move
go.
forward.
Like, are they gonna like if they? Because
Any sort of time jump.
Because I could, either or. I mean, it's X-Men, so they can just, like, mess with the timeline. Be like, this is an alternate, like, apocalypse, whatever. But then it's like this instead.
Well,
but yeah.
well, and it gets even weirder too going forward because the X-Force movie is separate from X-Men.
Yes.
Because there's going to be another X-Men movie,
which I think
coming
they
out,
should
which is focusing on Dark Phoenix.
I think they should scratch the X-Men movie altogether.
They're not going to, you know that.
Well, yeah, but then it's like they kind of like. I could see them, and then Bryan Singer's like, well, if hopefully he doesn't come back. But then they're like, oh, we should bring in a Wolverine cameo. I'd be like, no. I think
I think Hugh Jackman's made it clear.
well,
he's
yeah,
not
I
coming
think
back.
he's done. I think they
he's
should
done.
just do X-Force and start something with that. If they want to do X-Men, I would rather them reboot X-Men altogether, but jumping off from the Deadpool movie, like I had said before. Like I like that version of.
Well, I think they'll make some concessions. Like that version of Colossus will probably be
perfect.
the version of Colossus going forward.
mean,
I imagine they're probably going to mesh some of this together.
I don't want to see their version, their like '90s version of those characters because they weren't that good.
Well, I mean, again, that's a matter of opinion. I didn't mind them. I thought they were fine, but
technically, all you have to do is just watch X-Men, the first movie. You go back around, and you can eventually get to the shitty Dark Phoenix, and it's one big weird time loop.
Well, yeah,
right?
I mean that's what this whole timeline has been so far.
Stupid time loop.
So, but I mean, for me going forward, I would like. I don't mind seeing another X-Men movie because, again, like I said, you are a little bit in the minority here. No,
I want to see an X-Men movie. I just want to see a rebooted one because I think it would be better.
Well, here's the thing. I think
way you can add Deadpool
what they have to do. Bryan Singer doesn't have to be involved, and I don't think he will be going forward anymore. But they have to prove that they can do because they did with Matt Vaughn once. But other than that, they've never done a movie that was successful without Bryan Singer. That like a main X-Men movie. Basically.
Honestly, I think they should get Tim Miller, which was the director, the first director of Deadpool.
Oh, Deadpool!
Yeah, because he did Colossus and all that stuff.
That's true.
And because I feel like
that wouldn't be bad.
Honestly, get him to Helmet because seems he has a better vision of X-Men than.
But also though, it depends on what they do going forward. Will they start allowing more of these X-Men movies to maybe be a little bit darker? Maybe I'm not saying they'll go R-rated, but
they can
maybe
get a hard PG-13.
Right. That's what I'm
needs
saying.
To be.
Saying will they start expanding the range that they're willing to go to? That's going to be the key going forward too. Because then they can avoid the hard rebooting. Mm-hmm. Because I don't think they should reboot everything, to be honest. Because I do like some of the things that they have set up.
Yeah.
But I would like to see a better meshing of the universe. Like start tying it together a little bit better. You know what I mean?
I think there's certain parts of the X-Men franchise that I like, but there's a lot of stuff that I don't like. But I would kind of like how they did with the James Bond, how they took Judi Dench and kept her as M.
Right.
I would be preferred if just grab McAvoy and Fassbender because I think they're great.
Yeah.
And plus, like Stewart and probably are done. It's been take them if they're still willing to do it, and grab take at least two familiar faces and maybe just recast the main X-Men people or get X-Men that people haven't seen. Like cast a Gambit. Who cares about his fucking movie? Just cast him in, make him be part of it.
Yeah.
Get Beast. Get the ones that they say are going to be in the movie, but are really a cameo, and then that's it. Like, get Rogue back, show Jubilee. Show them Jubilee. Sorry,
Jubilee.
Do a new version of members of the X-Men that people wanted to see, but they never really got.
Yeah,
and go from there, and then make a really good movie first, and then slowly add in the other ones. Like recast like a new Wolverine.
Sure.
I'd like to see Tom Hardy as Wolverine.
I'd like them to leave Wolverine alone.
They could.
For a
now,
long
depending
time.
if they reboot
it. Because again, this being kind of like a childhood nostalgia sort of thing. Right now, I can't, and I'm sure there are actors. You mentioned Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be a bad one. But right now, it's so it's like trying to imagine the Harry Potter actors,
Mm-hmm.
like, like the Harry Potter characters not being portrayed by Emma Watson, Daniel Radcliffe, and
or
Rupert
what would be
Grint,
better?
It's
Know
the
that
same sort of
Wolverine,
deal.
like if it's a reboot, know that he exists, but never show him. Just put little Easter eggs in, like
Sure.
Weapon X program.
Right,
Like
yeah.
you never
That's
see him
fine.
until you build up
I'd
a
be
couple
okay with that.
years, and just be like, oh my gosh, Wolverine. And so it builds up to like 10 years, then you finally am able to cast or whatever. But
It's just so hard because Hugh
is,
Jackman was
yeah.
such a good, like that was one of, before this golden age of casting with Iron Man and the Marvel films, like he was like really the first great, truly, one of the truly great matches of actor to character.
and
There
he
is
was, and-
nobody
and
who
what was
fit
great, too,
Wolverine
was
better.
He was an unknown.
Right, exactly.
And I think that if they do it,
It propelled him, really.
They should just cast like 2 known actors, like I said, like do a
Right.
McAvoy and stuff like that. Keep if they want to stay, but then do unknowns for the rest of them. Like build
Sure.
build people up.
I
Get
could see
people
that.
that aren't known instead of like casting all these big, well-known actors, and then your money's gonna shrink.
Right.
At least do that so you get a decent amount, and then go with. That way you can do as much as you want.
So going back to Logan,
Yeah.
how awesome was that hotel scene? The pageant when Xavier is having the seizure because he's under threat, and Wolverine has to fight because it's that same
That
that
slow,
sort of like
killing.
stasis that Professor Xavier would put everybody in to like talk to somebody specifically.
Yeah.
And Wolverine's fighting and the guys are like the guys
guys
who are
just,
holding
like,
the guns
looking
is,
at him, yeah.
like looking scared as hell as he's just slowly putting his claws into them. Like how awesome
And
was
then when
that?
he like finally got the needle, everybody just dropped.
Yes.
The only
that was
part that I was
awesome.
questioning was like, because she's Lara or X-23, who's just like him and probably even faster with like healing and stuff. I thought for a second, I was like, well, if he's being able to move, like, shouldn't she be able to move then too?
Well, she was able to move,
but she was like stuck on the ground.
But see, that wasn't really reflecting Logan's like health and age. It was more of like it was like an emergency panic situation for Xavier, like where he was using his mind ability to stop everybody.
Yeah.
But remember, he could choose who wasn't affected by it, like back in the original X-Men
yeah,
movies.
but I thought
you know?
because of this, he was having a seizure, everybody was affected.
Well, and I think, but I still think there was a part of him that was probably like programming, saying let Logan, and Lara not be affected by it, but they still were because he
Yeah.
can't really control it. But he was trying to make it so that they could move and everybody else couldn't. But he can't control it,
Yeah.
and that was one of the big
He's
things in the
having a
movies
seizure.
that he couldn't control
Yeah.
it really. So, but what a great sequence that was! Like that was awesome, and let's talk about the ending. Like, did you got the very ending? What I mentioned earlier, I love that first trailer they released for this movie, but the moment, and I hate when trailers do this, the moment that I saw Logan with a bloody shirt, holding a shovel, and Lara, came up and grabbed his hand, I said right then and there, oh shit, Xavier's dead.
well,
Like
I
mean,
feel like everybody
maybe
knew
it's a
who-
common
yeah.
sense thing, but it's just one of those where you're kind of deflated. You're kind of like, it's just kind of a little deflated. It's like, crap.
I
know he's dead
wasn't
now.
disappointed, and I was like, yeah.
No,
like,
I'm not saying it was disappointing, but I'm just saying like
no. I think that was
you know.
kind of
the way
yeah,
they did
duh.
it was surprising, and it was good that they kept you off balance with
that
it.
was, but I kind of knew because he's like talking to Logan, but when the shot wasn't going back to him. This was like, well, it's not him, clearly. It's somebody else. And then I was like, but it is kind of him, but it's not. But, yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm probably going to die. I think I was still on the fence if he was. Because I was like, I could
Logan
see
himself.
them, like,
Yeah.
pushing it, but then be like, surprise! He, like,
Right.
And I was like, crossing my fingers that like when his grave showed up that we wouldn't see like a hand pop out. I was like, please just let him because I could see that, or like the
Yeah.
claws pop out and then like they end it. I was like, please just
Yeah.
let it be. Let him be.
Well,
let him retire.
My only thing. It was a good movie. It was a good story, but both this and Deadpool both had one moment in the story where if the character had done one other thing, I almost feel like the whole plot wouldn't have even happened. Mm-hmm. When he had the villain knocked out.
Yeah.
Seriously,
what time?
he's at the beginning.
Yeah, at the beginning,
Uh,
yeah.
You're Wolverine. Since when do you have a conscience? When do you care about killing bad guys who are clearly out to get you?
I was like-
Why didn't he just put his spikes into his head right then and there and finish it? That was it. The story would have been over.
Well, then we wouldn't have had the rest of the movie.
I know, but I said the same thing with Deadpool when he
But
didn't
it's like,
when he
again,
didn't reveal
it's-
himself
it's
to
very-
his girlfriend.
it's-
It's the same thing.
That's why you need to have
there's
a
that
movie.
one moment in the story where the characters could have done one different thing,
That was not in Hugh
and it would have
Jackman's
prevented the
dream.
whole movie.
That was not in his dream. He had to go with it.
That's my only that was the only flaw, and it happened
Well,
really
well-
early, so I didn't let it affect my opinion of the movie, but it stuck in my mind.
The only other thing, though, that this is just a minor, this is just a nitpicky thing,
Sure.
but they did kind of sort of in a way kind of redo